I think we all have at least one decision in our past that we wish we could undo. On today's case, Mr. Krogh says that opening up his relationship with his childhood sweetheart, Miss Joseph, was one of the worst decisions he's ever made. Since then, their relationship has been in a downward spiral, and now he's dealing with an even bigger betrayal that he's not sure he'll ever be able to get over. Is this the end for this young couple? We'll find out today in my courtroom. Let's hear their case.
Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Starr presiding. Your Honor, this is the case of Krogh versus Joseph.
Thank you very much, Mr. Krogh, Miss Joseph. Mr. Krogh, you say your fiancé's betrayal has hindered the progression of your relationship. You are here for answers, and you really hope to find resolution today.
Yes, ma'am.
And Miss Joseph, you admit that your relationship has hit rock bottom. You say Mr. Krogh is not the man you fell in love with, and you're unsure of how to move forward with this engagement.
Yes, Your Honor.
You all are a young couple. However, you've been together 9 years. You're engaged. You have not started a family yet, but there's now a crossroads at this relationship. Mr. Krogh, why are we in court today, sir?
Your Honor, the reason I'm here today is because I'm a serious person, and I want my relationship to reflect that. I've dedicated 10 years of my life to Kirby, and I feel like we are in a split now, and the road isn't clear, and we have to find some kind of way to still communicate. So essentially, this is my last-ditch effort to try to salvage the relationship.
Mr. Krogh, I appreciate your candidness. Miss Joseph, you heard what your fiancé said. What do you say, ma'am?
Well, I'm here today because, like he said, we've been together for basically over 10 years. And it's just very obvious that since we've grown up, we've grown apart. And I don't think that if we can make it work today, like, we're never gonna be able to make it work.
Mr. Krogh, why don't you take me back to when you first met and help me figure out how you got to this point?
Yeah, so we first actually met when we were 4 years old, and we went to the same pre-kindergarten together. We lived like right down the street from each other. Our parents were friends, so we always kind of grew up just in the same community. I ended up going to a different school for a while and then coming back to the neighborhood for middle school. And we started dating when we were 13, so the end of 8th grade.
You had to be each other's first love.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
First everything.
I mean, first, as I can say?
First everything, literally.
Really? I mean, you all really have grown up together. How long have you all been living together?
Since last August.
Okay, so this is the first time that you've actually, in the last year, been together on a full-time basis. Is that fair to say?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, we were long distance for...
Okay, and so all of those wonderful 8 years before were literally boy and girlfriend and dating and off and on, and sometimes you lived in the same town and sometimes you didn't live in the same town. But right now, somebody wakes up in the morning, you see that same face every day. And now you're dealing with what it is to really be in a committed relationship.
Yeah.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you all have arrangements on how your relationship was gonna work? Was it monogamous? What was the dynamic? Were you allowed to see other people? Give me some breakdown on the relationship. You wanna start, Ms. Joseph?
Yes, Your Honor. So basically, when college rolled around, we were super happy together in high school. You know, I made it down to Portland a lot, so we would still see each other consistently. Really, we're like in love with each other. And then when college came around, you know, we're 18, we're like, hey, we should have new experiences. We don't want to hold each other back, even though like we still love each other, still really want to be together. So like, I was pushing to be open, like maybe try new things, but still be together. And I think you wanted that too.
So if in fact you all met somebody that you wanted to have an experience with, the other one was supposed to be okay with it. Is that what you all said?
That was my understanding of the agreement, yeah.
Was that your understanding of the agreement, Ms. Joseph?
Well, so what happened originally that made us become open is he ended up hooking up with my college roommate when we were not in an open relationship whatsoever, and continued to lie about it, actually still continues to lie about it. And I found it out because like me and her visited each other 4 months later, and she showed me messages on Snapchat from them meeting up at 1 in the morning. And then he still denied it, and I was like, okay, well, this is a perfect time to let's open up our relationship. And
Mr. Krogh, is that true? You had an intimate encounter with her college roommate?
It is true, and I don't know why she's saying I deny it, because we're here talking about it right now, so I feel like I'm pretty open about it.
You did lie about it back then?
Well, we had already been having conversations for a long time, though, about trying to do something different, and I feel like I mean, we live in Oregon too, so it's not that unusual to, you know, have like a non-traditional relationship, but.
Why, is Oregon something different? I didn't know about Oregon has.
Portland, Oregon? Yeah.
Y'all kinky and fluid up in Portland, Oregon?
Absolutely.
Probably more so than Georgia, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
All right, well, hey, to those that want to know about Portland, go get your groove on. Go get your groove on.
But I feel like she was kind of the one who violated the trust first, right? Because I feel like I was open about it, honestly. And then we did establish like a concrete arrangement where she said she was interested in talking to girls and hooking up with girls, and I was open to that. Within 24 hours, she had hooked up with a dude. So
you thought that her being bi-curious meant that she would connect with another woman.
yeah.
But it violated.
That was what we had laid out, basically.
Okay, but wait a minute. Now, according to Miss Joseph, she said it was supposed to be an open relationship. So you were allowed to be with other girls, and you were going to allow her to only be with other girls?
Exactly.
That was the agreement that we had from
Is that the
start.
agreement as you understood it, Miss Joseph?
Yes, it is the agreement, and I do understand that, like, I overstepped your boundaries. I do understand that fully, but also that's not to say that I don't think that that is, like, super unfair. You know?
It is super unfair.
It is super unfair for you to say that I can only hook up with girls, because what if you wanted to hook up with guys? Like, what if you were bi? He just doesn't want me to have another man, obviously, so.
Well, here's the thing. At 21 and 22 years old, you can have who you want. That's the whole purpose of being young. This is the time for you to experience whether or not this is the right person that you want to be with, and not turn it into a tit for tat, because this is the way it's sounding. I hooked up and you got mad, and then you hooked up and I got mad.
She told me she was pregnant, and she said that she was, you know, thinking about getting an abortion. Out of nowhere, one day she came and sat me down and said, I did it, it happened.
Miss Joseph, curious why you didn't include your partner in your thought process.
I just couldn't have him with me, making me feel bad about the decision that I knew had to happen. I know it's what's best for us.
I understand you have different goals
Yeah,
about where you are in this relationship, and you're ready to start a family, am I correct?
that's correct, yeah.
But something has actually thrown a monkey wrench in that plan. Why don't you explain what we're talking about?
So we moved in August of 2022, and then a few months after that, she told me she was pregnant. And she said that she was, you know, thinking about getting an abortion, and that was something that I felt like she was being open about at first, but then out of nowhere, one day she came and sat me down and said, I did it, it happened. And this was after, we had only had a brief conversation about this. So like, I didn't even have time to digest the information or really think about how I felt. And then she just went and did it without me. So I felt like, how could I trust this person after that? I mean, I just felt.
Ms. Joseph, you made that choice, which, by the way, let me validate that choice for you. As a 21-year-old woman, you get to make a choice on whether or not you're ready to give birth. Nobody gets to tell you if you are. Most people, when they're in a relationship with somebody that they care about, it becomes a part of the discussion. But at the end of the day, it is always your choice, and I just want to validate that for you. Ms. Joseph, why did you make this choice?
I made this choice because I knew that if I were to talk to Chase about it more, he would probably convince me to have the baby, because that's what he wants right now. He wants to settle down. You want to have kids. You know, I'm not on the same page with that. That's something that we're always fighting about. Even though, like, I do want those things with you, and you know that, but not right now. Like, we don't have any money. You just graduated college. It's just, we're just different in that, right? And I just couldn't have him with me, like, making me feel bad about the decision that I knew had to happen. I know it's what's best for us.
Ms. Joseph, you can take ownership of knowing what's best for you, and you're allowed to know what's best for you at that time. But I'm just curious why you didn't include your partner in your thought process. Did you not feel able to share this with him at that time?
No, Your Honor. I felt so terrible that that had even happened, especially because I knew like he's been talking about wanting to have kids soon, like as soon as we were able to. And I just couldn't like have him there with me, making me feel bad or sad. Like it's already hard enough to go by yourself with my friend, you know?
Absolutely. Mr. Krogh, what did you want to happen?
Well, I feel like regardless of our circumstances, our financial circumstances, the fact that you would make a decision like that and not consult me is pretty illuminating about your character. I mean,
Do you think that our relationship is good enough right now to have a baby?
I think regardless of that, it's just important to have the conversation about it and be on the same page. And I think that like this situation is symbolic of a just complete communication breakdown. Part of this too is we have different views, you know, spiritually and stuff, and that's a factor, right? But like ultimately, I just think that it just showed a lack of respect for me. That's really how I feel.
That's fair. Now, what you just said, that's fair. Because that is a conversation that the two of you should have had.
Looking at places like he wants to, well, he doesn't have the money to buy a house, but he wants to buy a house and have a mortgage so that, and not live with roommates and spend a ton of money.
Yeah, and you don't have a degree, so that's a factor too.
See, he literally like thinks that I'm so
just
much
trying to be
less than him
honest.
because I didn't go to college.
Because of your long-standing relationship, including him in the conversation was probably fair to the relationship. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, I agree, and he knows I'm sorry. Like, I did lie. I fully lied about it at first.
I feel like you mostly just felt bad for yourself, though. I don't feel like you had a lot of remorse for your actions. It kind of just seemed like you felt sorry that you were going through that.
No, you're right, because I know that still at the end of the day, in your head, you wish that we would have had that baby right now. And I don't want to be like, I don't want us to break up before the baby's even born, which is how it's looking like. Like, you want the baby to save us? That's so ridiculous. We're literally so young, have nothing figured out yet. Like, it just absolutely makes no sense to me.
You do realize that the two of you have realized in this last year that maybe you're moving too fast. It was cute, it was sexy, it was fun when it was long distance, when you could see each other when you wanted to, because it seems like you're on a honeymoon at all times. Every time you would be apart, be at some location, and then you get back together, and then it's exciting, you have really great sex, and you go out, and you have a good time, and then you're going back to your regular, everyday scheduled life.
Yeah.
But now your regular, everyday scheduled life happens to be with each other, and you're getting to know each other, which, by the way, happens all the time, and it's a good thing. Because before you get married, you should get to know each other and know if you're compatible.
Yes, Your Honor. Our lives used to be extremely separate, and now that they're not separate, they feel more separate than ever.
Well, I think in some way that might be true, but I also think that what's really been shown is her being scared of commitment. Because I feel like when we were going to move in together, she was immediately kind of like throwing water on the whole thing. And like when we're moving my stuff in, she's like, oh, where are we gonna fit everything? This room is too small. Like, kind of starts to gaslight the whole process. So I feel like she had cold feet to start with.
Mr. Krogh, honestly, it's not that she's afraid of commitment. She's not ready for the level of commitment that you want her to be ready for. That is where we are.
Yeah.
And I don't disagree that at 22 and 23, you have a right to say my needs have changed. You do. At 22 or 23, they may change 3 times in a year. You may decide that this particular entrepreneurship is not working out and I'm gonna switch up and do something else because I'm 23 years old and this is the time for me to spread my wings. That is what happens when you are at that age and you don't have children and you aren't married and you're not committed completely. Right. You date lots of people, you have fun.
Yes.
And you might be in a place, Mr. Krogh, that you're ready to settle down with the right woman, start a family, start building your future.
Yeah.
But it may not be her right now. And if you're not willing to wait until she can get to that point, if she ever gets to that point, then this is the time for you all to say, our relationship may have run its course. Ms. Joseph, am I wrong in that?
No, Your Honor, I think you're extremely correct. And It definitely makes me sad because, you know, we always fantasized about moving in together after he graduated college, which he just graduated last year. And then it was just really evident that when we were looking at places, like he wants to, well, he doesn't have the money to buy a house, but he wants to buy a house and have a mortgage and not live with roommates and spend a ton of money. And I'm not in a place that I want to do that, especially because I don't even want to be living in Portland for more than a year. That's another issue that we have.
Yeah, and you don't have a degree, so that's a factor too.
See, he literally thinks that I'm so much less than him because I didn't go to college. Yes, I do regret it though. I should.
I'm just saying, I think you need to look out for your own future and your own financial stability going forward. You have to have a vision for who you want to be.
Mr. Krogh, you're a very handsome young man, but you're not her father. I see that the two of you like each other until you don't. You were such good long-distance boyfriend, girlfriend, now that you are in the same space. You're on two different pages.
Yeah.
You know, timing is everything. And in the beginning, everything was wonderful. Puppy love is beautiful. But you've grown apart. You're two different people. Things have changed. And clearly, something prompted the change. Am I right? What prompted the change in you? What made you say, I'm about to spread my wings?
Honestly, I think just growing up and growing apart, especially because when I moved out of Portland for high school, I moved to a conservative small town. And so that obviously made me be a little bit more I don't want to say in my shell, because I've always been who I am, but just less open and free. And then when I moved back to Portland for college, I ended up making a lot of great friends, a lot of queer friends, people that are more open-minded, super non-judgmental. I had good, genuine friends for the first time in my life that I'm still friends with. And then he just kind of stayed the same or got a lot more conservative after high school.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, Chase was a total social justice warrior back in high school and was never talking about wanting to have kids immediately or anything. But when I grew up, I just grew up into something a lot more free and open than he did, and he just kind of shrunk into wanting to be a very traditional husband.
By the way, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, Mr. Krogh. Don't you allow anybody to tell you there's anything wrong with that. And trust me, there's some young ladies out here that want that. They want the husband that is going to put a plan in place that they can help to grow the family. And they want to be pregnant early on. They want to start raising children. They want to start building towards a mortgage. There are young women that are out there, and they validate that choice. And, you know, as Chris Rock would say, crackheads like crackheads, okay? You got to find yours. There's nothing wrong with that. Zero. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with being so free that you open every door, and whatever is behind that door, you're open to finding love and friendship and new opportunities. Yeah. Zero wrong with either position. But it will never work together right now. That's just a true statement. Mr. Krogh, this is who she is. Miss Joseph is not willing to not spread her wings. And she is not going to dim her light. And if you can't stand the shine, it's time for you to move on.
See, it's crazy that she disagreed with everything that I said.
Well, I think it's easy to take a quick side like that. But ultimately, I think we have to talk about it.
Talk about not compatible?
It got real when they moved in. They loved that long distance relationship. I visit you, you visit me. It was perfect.
Absolutely. It's called an ongoing honeymoon phase. Then you got to wake up and make scrambled eggs in the morning.
That's right.
Every day. It didn't work for them.
Not at all.
It's done.
Made in Georgia.